My daughter's 14, she'll be 15 in a couple months, and she loves Jordans and getting her nails done, and she loves snuggles and being sarcastic and watching Netflix with me. She's literally my best friend. Like, she's a little version of me. And I also have to remember she's her own person because she has a lot of her dad in her too. Interestingly enough, I never wanted to have kids, so it was a surprise. I was always raised, don't bring home no babies, is what my grandma said, but I was not taught how to prevent that from happening. Unbeknownst to myself, I was HIV positive at the time. I just hadn't got tested. So because I became a mother is how I found out my status. Had I not given birth to my daughter, I would have never gotten tested. I was 21 when I had my daughter and 21 when I was diagnosed. Yeah.
I love children. I've always loved children. I even did foster care. So my first child was planned. She was planned. My second child was not planned. So, but I love children. My oldest daughter is 27 and my youngest daughter is 16. They're beautiful, both of them. Every time I look at them, I'm like, gosh, they're so pretty. My 16-year-old is getting ready to graduate high school next year, and she's doing really good. She wants to be a veterinarian, and she shadows at the veterinarian clinics. She's in cheer. She works at Subway. When I had my first child, I was 21. I was 21 years old. Yeah, and we planned it. Yeah, you look at this little baby in your arms, and you're like, is she really mine? Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. When I was pregnant with the first one, I wasn't diagnosed with HIV. When I was pregnant with the second one, I was so paranoid. I was paranoid. I almost got rid of the child. Almost got rid of her until there was an infectious disease doctor that sent me to a hospital, a doctor that specialized in women diagnosed with HIV that were pregnant. And if I never drove an hour to that hospital, I probably wouldn't have her today. So it was different. I was always paranoid, always scared, always thinking something was wrong. I was always in emergency. So, but I really feel that was because I had HIV. I was always thinking something was wrong with the baby because I was still paranoid that she was going to end up contracting HIV after they told me she was negative. It took about a year after she was born because I kept thinking, what if it still comes up? What if it still comes up? And then, well, I'll say even after, when she would get sick, from the ages from 2 to 5, I would always think, well, maybe I should take her to the doctor to make sure she doesn't have HIV. And my husband used to say, she doesn't have HIV. You're just still paranoid, but it had been like 5 years. She didn't have HIV. So,
So motherhood was like a double whammy. Um, I went through like 5 months of hiding it, and then obviously I'm showing, so I have to start talking about what's happening and then what life will look like after that. And adoption was not a option I could sit with very well. I know I was down a lot. I know I was hiding from myself a lot. So postpartum depression was a beast, and no one had defined that. I just remember looking at this little person, feeding her and crying and not being able to stop. Um, and then thankfully that didn't last long because I have a support system that was starting to notice like this isn't like Kamaria. Like my mom was like, we understood you were going through things, and there was some anger and some tension and resentment, just because of secrets that I kept. But then when the HIV diagnosis came, like 2 weeks after I brought the baby home, that shifted how everybody responded to me. So the postpartum was, I guess, easier for others to help me through. But that's not what I was thinking about through the postpartum. It was just like there's a person, like there's this person that just came out of me and I don't know what to do. And then also I was really in some stigmatizing mindsets. Like I thought I was going to die. My doctor hadn't told me that. I just had that in my head and trying to figure out, also during this time, trying to figure out if my daughter had contracted HIV as well. So spending that whole year getting her tested and giving her treatment took a toll on me. Every day I woke up, I'm like, I'm still alive. I'm still here. So maybe the doctor was right. And maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it was. What helped me kind of push through that is the more research I did, the more I found out women weren't talking about it, especially women that looked like me, that were single moms. I didn't quite declare advocacy on that day, but I definitely knew that it wasn't something I was going to let keep me like hidden. I don't like feeling invisible. I also don't like the spotlight either, but I just definitely didn't want a health condition to make me feel like I couldn't be myself anymore. I was always the quiet girl. I didn't say much. I didn't do anything. I was always smiling and laughing. So for me to say something like that, it would turn into like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry type of thing. And then that opened the window for me to educate and let you know I don't need sympathy. I just need you to kind of check why that was your first reaction to have sympathy. I appreciate the compassion if that's where it's framed, but it's been interesting, especially with dating. Like I would blurt it out just to see if the guy was really, are you interested in me or were you just interested in getting in the bed? And usually it was just getting in the bed. So I was like, okay, moving on.
It was hard for me. It was really hard in the beginning. So no one knows, who's going to struggle when they're contracting HIV. Counseling helped. I went to counseling and I went to group at the hospital and just my family. My family's always been there for me. So yeah, it was tough. I used to say, if I'm not here, who's going to take care of her? So I had to keep going so I can be the one to take care of her and not anybody else. Yeah, it was my daughter that got me through HIV. Yeah. Well, talking to my kids about my status, my oldest daughter, I started talking to her. I told her when she was 8. I told her when she was 8. She didn't really understand too much, but as the years went by, from me always talking about it, she began to understand what it was. And when she got older, she always says, "Oh, I forget you have it." So she doesn't really think about it. And then my youngest daughter, I told her when she was 13. And the way that I told her was because I'm in school and I have taken a public speaking class and I did public speaking and talked about my status in my class. So I took the video and I put it on my laptop and I said, "Come here, mommy wants to show you something." So she sat down and then played the video and I let her listen. And when it was over, I turned around and I says, "Well," and she went, "I don't care." But I think that was because I talked about HIV and STDs and pregnancy all through the years while my kids were growing up. I never thought that I would be here this long. And as the years progressed, and 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I'm like, I'm still alive. No one said I was gonna be alive. It just said take this medication, and I'm still alive. And so I think just from living after so long, it just went away. It went away.
So my daughter she's been aware of HIV since she was a baby. And I always tell people, her understanding has been per age and maturity. First was just all she heard were the letters and she knew the letters made mommy not feel well. Um, Now she's a teenager and she's been involved in like teen pregnancy prevention. And the leaders of those organizations have asked me to come in and do education. And I'll turn to her and I'm like, they want me to talk about HIV and I'm candid. You're at an age now where your peers are aware. So I kind of give her the opportunity to make a decision if this is a world she wants to be brought into. So her understanding, is supportive. You know, she gets what I do. I've asked her to try to define like what I do, and she's like, "You travel a lot," and it's, you know, she's very sarcastic, but I know at the end of the day she's very supportive. I know she's checked a couple of friends about stigmatizing language, so at least she's doing that much. But I don't put pressure on her to take this on as a banner at all. I remember my 21st birthday, just sitting outside. I think I was 8 months pregnant. Yeah, I was 8 months pregnant, and you know, knowing all my friends are out partying because all my friends are like, our birthdays are clustered, so they were all having a good time, and I was sitting there thinking my life was about to end, but actually my life was beginning, because not only because I was going to give birth, but then find out my diagnosis and have this a whole other chapter that I didn't know was going to be attached to motherhood.